We have three personalities: the one we use in public, the one we use at home, and the one that is in our heads. These rarely intertwine, but I've come to find over time that occasionally you run into people who only have two, possibly even one, depending on which mental institution you've been in. I was drinking coffee in a cafe some time ago and I overheard a conversation. I'm not privy on the details. That's because what was being said wasn't as important as the way these people were speaking. The language they used was no different than something bad you would read on the internet. If you're familiar with such horror shows as Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or the site, you know that people often use their at-home personality in public, depending on what they're after. Very rarely does that little conscious voice we have come out in the open in these places, for fear of being hurt, so the public protects you, the at-home comforts you. To get to it, these girls in the cafe we dumb. They used popular internet terms and spoke in a language that some might say is English, but those people can't be understood, either. Between this rambling, and squeaking voices, I could tell one was upset by her public image deteriorating on Facebook, I'm assuming. I immediately thought, are we so shallow as a culture that our lives must be validated by superficiality in the public domain? This girl was making the horrible mistake of blending her conscious, her inner personality, with her public one. Now why does that matter? Well, in order to get satisfaction from most things, our inner feelings are what needs to be satisfied, our inner personalities, not our public feelings. Whether it be music or a film, or a book, it doesn't matter. How you feel deep inside, you, only you, that little voice, knows what satisfies it. Honest people who use this voice are at a disadvantage, and are often turned away by the public resentment of truth. But it exists there for a reason. Now the more and more you put your inner personality in the public light, the more they will infuse, one will disappear, and what started off as a simple illusion or whim, has a better chance of becoming a delusion. Let's say you have your heart set on becoming a rock star, a lead guitarist in a jam band. You're convinced there is a place for your talents out there. And you do have talent. So, you open yourself up to all possible avenues of exploration to be discovered, to make it, to gain some sort of response, and then you're on your way. Just like that. Work, 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 work. But nothing is happening, so you go into desperate measures mode, you open for bands who are worse than you work with other musicians that suck but somehow they've got a record deal, maybe you become a roadie, who knows? All the while you're hurting inside, you know you have it, you've given it your all and it's still not good enough for some reason. So, you decide to make some songs from your heart, from that deep place that exposes itself like a flower ready to be stung. You spend all the money you have and solidify your debt forever, but nothing comes to, nobody cares. Your illusions have now become a delusion. The world you thought you knew isn't what you knew at all. What you once thought was attainable has now shown itself to be quite unattainable. You tell yourself you don't care, you're going to rock on anyway. But inside you're dying, you're lost. And all of this just because of what started as your inside personality became public, and probably ruined your at-home relationships and personality as well. It intertwined. The distinction between these three are damn important. Almost as important as their integrity. But more and more in the world, the two are blending. Not in a positive way where your inner personality is the truthful public one, which is accepted and understood and tolerated, but where your public personality becomes your inner. You lose your pure dialogue with yourself. You become the image you want so desperately to portray to others in public, but are hollow on the inside because it wasn't you. You're in what is called an ignorance bubble. Not to the world, but to yourself. And most people never get out of this, and the ones who do end up in therapy, or even dead. I think the point is quite clear. And maybe even your public personality is saying to yourself, no shit. Or, maybe, you turn around and do it anyway to satisfy that inner personality because that's where you are. The main thing I care about, that I hope everyone would still care about, is whether or not my inner personality is being satisfied. That's the truth. But is it the truth?